Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our 2024 St. Paul Energy Benchmarking Training. Today, we'll be going through the full process of how to benchmark your building in Energy Star Portfolio Manager and then submit your data to the city. So we're really glad you all are here. And the goal for today is for this to be an interactive training, and we hope you can follow along as we go through the steps. And please put any questions you have in the chat. We will either answer them in the chat or I'll address them to the group. So more logistics to come, but glad y'all are here. So we'll do a quick team introduction and then jump into the benchmarking ordinance. We'll talk about the details of the ordinance, and then we'll spend the majority of the training today on how to benchmark and comply. So we'll start by going through how to create a property in Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Then we'll look at setting up meters in Portfolio Manager and entering your water data into those meters. Then our partners at Xcel Energy will be joining to walk you through how to set up the automatic data upload from Xcel Energy. When that connection's made, your energy information will automatically upload into Energy Star, making it really easy. And then lastly, we will go over how to submit your data to the city. Just because your data is in your portfolio manager account doesn't mean you've complied. You have to submit your data to the city to comply. So we'll go through all of that, and then at the end, we're going to have guided work time, where if you have any unresolved questions or issues, we will stay on from about 10 a.m. to 11 to answer your questions one-on-one. We'll put folks in breakout rooms, and hopefully you can leave the training today ready to comply with the ordinance. So we've got an awesome team here at the City of St. Paul that helps out with our benchmarking program. So we have Russ Stark, our Chief Resilience Officer, Kurt Schultz, our Clean Energy Manager, who's on the call today. Jim Williamette is our Plan Supervisor. Ana de la Torre is our Sustainability Coordinator. Ana's also on the call today. Cecilia Govrick is our Energy Coordinator. She'll be joining a little later. And we'll be helping answer questions. Katie Jones works with me at the Center for Energy and Environment and is our Program and Policy Manager. She'll be answering your questions in the chat today. I'm Matthew Douglas May, a Community Program Coordinator at the Center for Energy and Environment, and we partner with the City of St. Paul to help run the benchmarking program. And then Clayton Harger is our newest team member. He's a plan review examiner, and you'll likely be in contact with him later this year. So Clayton, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, happy to help wherever I can. So just feel free to reach out in the future. Yeah, you might be hearing from me about the compliance letters in the future. So
yeah, thanks, Clayton. So that's the team. And now we will jump right into it. So we'll start with an introduction to benchmarking. What is benchmarking? Why are we here today? So the idea behind benchmarking is that you can't manage what you don't measure. And benchmarking is the ongoing review of building energy and water performance to ensure a building is using energy and water as anticipated over time and relative to peers. So benchmarking combines two silos of information that often aren't combined in order to get helpful information. So these two silos are our meter consumption for our buildings. So that's electricity, gas, hot water, and chilled water, and then your potable water. When we combine that meter consumption with building characteristics like floor area, building type, occupancy, etc., we get a bunch of helpful metrics that allow us to compare building to building. So energy use intensity is basically your miles per gallon of a building. So it's energy use per square foot per year. And this lets us compare buildings of similar use types but different sizes, and we can compare their energy performance. The Energy Star score is also a score that Energy Star creates. It's a 1 to 100 scale, where 100 is the most efficient your building can be. A 70, for example, would mean your building is in the 70th percentile of efficiency. So a lot of useful data comes out of this that can help you as a building operator better manage your energy consumption and also helps inform the market. So as we mentioned, measurement leads to better management. And as I said, you can't manage what you don't measure. And we do this in many aspects of our daily lives. So miles per gallon on a car, the energy guide labels on the appliances we buy, even the nutrition facts. We get to see how many calories does our food have, how much gasoline is my car going to use. So this is commonplace, and benchmarking applies that same principle to our buildings, our large buildings here in St. Paul. And with that information, there is a huge opportunity to save energy and money, but we can only identify those opportunities when we have the data. So there are two ways to comply with St. Paul's benchmarking ordinance. We'll go into more detail, but full disclosure shares your energy and water data and your building characteristics with the city of St. Paul. This is what we recommend, and when you comply with full disclosure, it empowers the market to make data-driven decisions. Efficient buildings see more popularity from tenants. And it also enables us to provide you individualized support, such as an energy scorecard. And at the end of each year, we host a recognition ceremony where we recognize the leaders in efficiency. So some of the benefits of benchmarking are the cost savings that you can get from reducing your energy consumption, and also brand enhancement. As I mentioned, efficient buildings that are identified as efficient to the market see premiums and more tenant interest. Benchmarking is also well-established best practice. There are actually over 40 cities now in the country with benchmarking policies. Most leading buildings are already benchmarking in Energy Star, LEED, or other platforms. And this, as most of you know, tracking energy bills is a very important piece of managing a budget. And benchmarking is the first step towards the objective of lowering the environmental impact of our existing buildings. And a big part of that is that our commercial buildings in the city of St. Paul make up over 40% of all greenhouse gas emissions in the city. So the city of St. Paul's Climate Action and Resilience Plan has a goal of being achieving zero net emissions by 2050 and a 50% reduction in emissions by 2030. And then the goal is to have carbon neutral buildings by 2030 and carbon neutral city buildings. Carbon neutral citywide 2050, carbon neutral city buildings by 2030. So as you can see, the biggest chunk is these commercial buildings. So every action that's taken to reduce energy use and reduce emissions in those buildings has a huge impact towards achieving our climate action goals. All right, so now we're going to jump in to how the ordinance actually works. So each year, buildings in St. Paul, 50,000 square feet and larger, are required to benchmark annually by June 1st. So that's commercial and multifamily buildings, and June 1st is the deadline. We're really glad you all are here today because we love it when folks comply before the deadline. Often, if folks put it off, they run into issues and then are late. So I'm really glad y'all are here. We've got 2 months, and that's the right amount of time to get this done. The annual compliance process looks like this. So on March 1st every year, we kick off the season. That's when you can start submitting your data to the city of St. Paul. And then from March 1st to June 1st, we offer trainings like this. Our help desk is also very active, handling calls and emails. They offer one-on-one support to troubleshoot any issues you might have. And then once June 1st hits, the vast majority of buildings will have submitted their benchmarking report. And then for folks that haven't, we work with them to bring them into compliance before enforcement at the end of the year. And then we have our recognition ceremony where we get to recognize all our buildings that benchmarked and those that had energy efficiency achievements. Okay, so that's an overview of the benchmarking policy. Now, the rest of the training, we will be focusing on how to benchmark your building in Energy Star Portfolio Manager. All right. So starting with creating a property in Energy Star Portfolio Manager. This is the first step of benchmarking. Before we get started, we would love for this to be an interactive training. We want to answer your questions here and now as best we can. So please put all your questions in the chat as you have them, and we'll address them. We also want to know if you fall into any of these less common situations so that we can connect you with the right people in this training or after to make sure you get the resources you need. And we will point you to our help desk many, many times today. They are awesome. So our help desk is available 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. You can call or email them with questions or issues about when you're benchmarking your building. You can also set up 30-minute phone appointments with them where you can share your screen and get one-on-one support. So we'll do our best to answer all your questions today. And after the training, the help desk is where we'll send you. They're experts, and we're thrilled to partner with them. All right. With that, let's get started. So the first step is creating an Energy Star Portfolio Manager account. So Kurt just put the link to Energy Star, or Kurt will put the link to Energy Star Portfolio Manager in the chat. If you already have an account, I strongly suggest using that existing account. It'll just save you a bunch of steps. Also, if your company has benchmarked your building in the past, I would suggest trying to get access to that Energy Star account. For example, Xcel Energy data might already be automatically uploading into that account. So if, say, one of your colleagues was the one who benchmarked and they left the company and now you can't get into their old account, you can contact Energy Star at this link, and they will help you get back into that account if you have enough information for them. So we'll be following up after this training with the slides and helpful links. So don't feel like you have to write this down, but just know that that help is there. All right, so I hope everyone will click on the link that Kurt just put in the chat for Portfolio Manager and follow along as we do this. So if you're creating an account for the first time, click that link and then click Create Account in the bottom here, and then fill in your information. So your username, password, email address. If your department has an email address, it can be helpful to use an email address that multiple people have access to, but your own email address will work just fine as well. So go ahead and set up your account or get logged in. If anyone is having trouble getting logged in, let us know in the chat, please. So before we start setting things up in Portfolio Manager, I just want to orient everyone to how the software works. Initially, it's kind of overwhelming and there's a lot going on, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty straightforward. So there are two views in Portfolio Manager. One is the the portfolio view. So you'll see the portfolio tab, the sharing tab, etc. Then in my portfolio, you'll see your buildings over here. Go ahead and you can, once you've created a building, you can click on that. And that'll take you to the property level view for that specific building. So there's the summary tab, details, energy and water are where we will be entering that data. And if you ever are like, I am lost in the software, just click the portfolio manager logo up top and it'll take you back to the home screen. So there's the portfolio view and the property level view. All right, now we're going to talk through how to set up a property in Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So the goal of setting up a property is to establish the greatest granularity possible among buildings to yield the most useful benchmarking results. So if you have a single building on your property, these next few steps are going to be simple for you. If you have a campus or multiple buildings, you'll want to pay close attention. So buildings that share meters need to benchmark on the same property, but buildings that do not share meters should be benchmarked as separate properties. So a few examples to share. Here are 3 buildings on a single property, but they all have individual gas, electric, and water meters. So they can all be benchmarked as separate properties in Portfolio Manager. So you'd set up 3 different properties. In this case, they all share a water meter, so they all need to be benchmarked as one property in Portfolio Manager. This would the combined square footage for all of them is what you would be looking for. And then Xcel Energy would aggregate the electric and gas consumption for all of them. But then say in this example, building A and B share a water meter, but building C has its 3 separate meters. Building A and B should be benchmarked as a single property, and then building C should be benchmarked as its own property. So in this case, you would have 2 properties. Okay, so that was just for folks dealing with campuses. But now everyone can go ahead and click Add Property here in that portfolio view, and that's where we'll get started. All right. So once you click Add Property, you'll have a few things you need to fill out. For property type, select the one that fits yours best. If your property has multiple use types, say you have an office building with a restaurant in the bottom, click the property type that makes up the majority of the square feet. So if 9 out of 10 floors are an office building, click office building. If you're not sure where you fall, this Learn More About Property Types is super helpful. It gives a description of what each of these means. Then if you have a single building, click 1, and if you have a campus, click more than 1, and then enter how many properties you'll be entering. We'll give more details for campuses later. And then everyone will click Existing Building here. Then go ahead and click Get Started. Once you click Get Started, it'll ask you to fill in some basic property info. If you don't have all of this in front of you, you can go back and fill it in later, but hopefully you can fill it in now. So put in your building name, the address, the year it was built. Gross floor area is the total covered floor area. So that would include hallways, include all the space inside your building. And then occupancy, you'll want to make sure that's correct. And I will have a slide here on how to choose that. So occupancy is the percentage of your property's floor area that is occupied and operational. So say you have a 10-story building and 9 of 10 floors are fully leased and occupied, then you would put 90% occupied there. If you just have a single tenant in a building, then you'd want to put 100% occupied. For a multifamily building, this would be the percent of units that are occupied. And then if you are working on a property that was already in place or already existed in your account, you'll want to go to the use details to update your occupancy rate, percentage each year. All right. So once you've got these initial information in, down below, you'll be asked to enter a standard ID. And this is really important. Your standard ID is what connects your Energy Star portfolio manager submission to the city with your address. So this is how we make sure you have complied with the ordinance. So under the standard ID menu, under standard ID state/province, select Minnesota Efficient Buildings Collaborative ID, and then you'll enter your number. To find your number, Kurt has put a spreadsheet in the chat. Go ahead and click that link and it'll open a spreadsheet for you, and you can search your address to find your ID. It'll be SP1234 is the example there. If you aren't finding your address in this spreadsheet, I suggest doing a control find and just putting the number of your building. So if your address is 250 Cretin Avenue, you could just put 250 and then search that way. Sometimes the wests and the easts get mixed up and then it makes it hard to find. So yeah, so go ahead and find your building ID, put that in here. And again, if you can't find it, you can't enter this later. And if you are having trouble finding your building ID, put that in the chat, let us know. There's that link again. And then at the bottom of this page, there are a few specific questions. So there are a couple questions you need to answer at the bottom of this page. Does your property have parking areas is the biggest one that I'll talk about. So hold off on clicking that button. My property has a data center, retail stores, restaurants. These three are fairly straightforward. Go ahead and click those if those are true for your building. For parking areas, we've got a couple considerations. So parking refers to buildings and lots used for parking. This includes parking lots, open parking lots like a surface lot, partially enclosed parking structures, and then completely enclosed parking structures. For example, an underground lot below your building. So they may be freestanding or connected to your building, but the way you benchmark them in Energy Star is important. So there are kind of two options. One, if your parking is sub-metered, so you have completely separate electric or gas meters for your parking structure, we want you to benchmark that as its own separate property. So don't click that I have parking button. However, if your meters are connected, so say your parking structure is connected to your building, it's all shares the meter, then you will want to click that button. And you want to keep the parking gross floor area or square footage separate from your building square footage. So if you click that back here, click that my property's energy consumption includes parking areas. That's important for you. Go ahead and click that, and then you'll be able to enter the parking square footage in there. So yeah, those are the two options for parking. All right. So once you have done that first page, go ahead and click continue. And then you'll put in your building's usage characteristics and yeah, your building's characteristics. So gross floor area, that should be your area not including parking. And and then weekly operating hours, number of workers on the main shift, etc. This page will look a little bit different depending on what your building type is. And the items that have a star next to them, those go into calculating your Energy Star score. So it's important that you fill those in properly in order to get a proper score. So, all right. So, great. So yeah, input your building's use types. And if you click on the descriptions, they will show you kind of what Energy Star is looking for. For example, number of workers on the main shift. You can find out, exactly what that might mean for you. For multifamily buildings, it'll ask about laundry units, things like that. So we'll go ahead and put those in. And then for gross floor area, if you have the date that your building was constructed or the date that it was mostly recently like fully remodeled, say like square footage changed, then you'll put that date in here. Otherwise, if you don't know the date, you can just put 19, put an old date like 1920 or something. This is helpful for future years. You can update this. So like your weekly operating hours might change. So you can update that and say as of 2024. This arrow down here, you're on this unique or standard IDs section, is where you'll be able to input your EBC ID. So that'll be the SP1234 number. If you were able to put it in, you should be able to click view here and see it. Otherwise, you can click edit and then you can add in your building there or your ID there later. Similarly, on this details tab, if you ever need to adjust your building characteristics, like what we just did, you can click, you'll be able to edit that right here. So you can click building use and then say, I want to edit my property. So that can be helpful. Cool. Yeah, Peter, I think hopefully that answers your question. It's not super clear all the time, but then under this action tab, click I want to, and then edit my property details. And then I just saw a hand go up. Chad, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So I'm in the standard tab, and I'm updating a St. Paul-based property. Within the standard tab, it allows you to identify standard tab city, town, county, district, state, providence. When I do the drop on which of those should I be dropping and which of the 3 fields or 4 fields should I be populating into?
Yeah, so state and province, I'll pop back there.
So Minnesota Efficient Building?
Yeah, so you'll do
Okay.
state, province, Minnesota Efficient Building Collaborative.
And then use the SP?
Yep, and then the SP number goes here. Yep.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. We wish it was a little more straightforward. All right, cool. Well, let's keep things moving for folks that are ready. So we've got your property set up in Portfolio Manager. You can edit all the details you just entered in the Details tab here. And the last piece is if you have a campus and you at the beginning selected that more than one property, now the way you'll be able to add those additional properties is in your property tab under summary, click add building, and then you'll go through that whole process again for your additional buildings. Also, campuses can get complicated quick, so setting up a meeting with our help desk can be super helpful. And there's the info again. All right, so that was step 1. creating a property in Portfolio Manager. Now we're going to set up meters and enter water data. We're going to keep moving here and we'll have a break in about 20 minutes. So the way you set up a meter is and just to orient folks again, if you click this logo at the top of your screen, you'll be taken to the portfolio view. And then down here, click on your building's name to get to your property tab. Then once you're in your property tab, navigate to the water tab. And then we'll go ahead and click add meter over here. So it's portfolio tab, click on your property to get to the property tab, water, and then add a meter. You'll be taken to this page, select municipally supplied potable water, and then select whichever meters you have. For most buildings in St. Paul, you'll have just one water meter, and one indoor water meter is probably the one you want to select. If you do irrigate to the outside, but you have a single meter, go ahead and click this mixed indoor outdoor, and then enter 1. So most buildings will just have a single meter, put in 1, and then click get started. And then you'll be taken to the details of this meter. And there are a couple important things here. One is the units. So you want to make sure that you have CCF. This is 100 cubic feet. And this is the unit that St. Paul Regional Water Services uses to bill your water. Then date meter became active. If you entering the year that the building was built is what you want to do here, or make it very old if not. And then these two over here you can ignore. You want to make sure it is in use. So CCF and the date are the big ones here.
Matthew, can I answer a question that just came in from Peter? Should one add a meter when meters get changed? Yes, we do recommend that. You can see here on the screen, there's the second from the right, that final column where it says date meter became inactive. So you would put the date that your old meter stopped being used, and then you would add a new meter and put that the start date for the new meter needs to correspond or be a day later than the date meter that the old meter became inactive.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. And Damien, I'm seeing a question or a hand up.
Yeah, I'm working off a scenario where somebody left the company, so my portfolio was already built. Looks like there was a meter already on it. Should I just leave that as is?
Yeah, I would suggest if there's already an existing water meter, leave that in, and then you can just update the billing info. Unless you know specifically that like a new physical meter was installed.
Okay.
And I think that'll become a little clearer in the next few steps.
Is there a way, it's got a meter ID number associated with that. Is there a way to determine on the invoices that that's the proper meter?
Yeah, I'd say as long as your building just has a single water meter, the exact number doesn't matter. It's just important that that's reflected in Portfolio Manager. So if your building still has a single meter, you can just keep updating the meter that is already in your Portfolio Manager account.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question. All right, so that was to set up the meter. And now we're going to talk about how to enter data into your meter. So there are a number of ways to enter meter data into Energy Star Portfolio Manager. One is manual entry, and the other is spreadsheet upload. These are the two options for water data. And then a third option is Xcel Energy's automatic data upload, and District Energy also has an auto upload tool. So now we're going to go through how to enter your water data into your meter. So there are kind of two options with water data, that manual entry or the spreadsheet entry. For manual data entry, you would have your bills in front of you, and then we'll show you how to read your bills to enter them into Portfolio Manager. If you don't have your water bills easily accessible, you can email water inquiries, and they can send you a spreadsheet of your full 2023 water bill usage, and that can make it really quick to upload. You can also access your water data through St. Paul Regional Water Services online portal. So this is a great self-service option. All right, so if you're manually entering your water data, usually it's billed quarterly, so you would put in those quarterly bills, and then under the potable indoor meter, you'll click add an entry. So click add an entry, and then you'll fill in the info. This is from a water bill. So you want the previous date to be the start date, the current date to be the end date. That's the billing period. And then this usage goes in the usage column here, CCF. So that'll be 36. And then cost, you're not required to report cost, but it could be helpful for your own personal tracking. Then, so that's one bill that you just input. Then you'd click add another entry and keep going until you have the full 2023 picture. Usually what this means is, say if you were, in this case, in this example, you were wanting to do the full 2020 data, you would do your last bill of 2019 through your first bill of 2021.
Wherever you want.
So you would go through and enter all your bills manually. The other option is a spreadsheet upload. So in that same view that we were in, instead of clicking add entry, you can click use this single meter spreadsheet. If you click this, it'll download the spreadsheet template for you. That looks like this, and then you can go in and input your meter data in Xcel and then upload this, which personally is my preferred method. It's faster. So the start date, end date will be the same as I just mentioned, and then usage is required. The only weird thing with this spreadsheet is put no in the estimation column, because you're getting this from your bill. It is not an estimate, it's what you were billed. So this is a quick way. Also, if St. Paul Regional Water Services emails you a spreadsheet, you can really quickly just make sure these, or update the columns and upload that spreadsheet if it reflects this template. And then once you have it filled out, you click choose file and upload it, and it'll automatically upload that data into this page. Yeah, a couple common issues we see are if the dates don't line up, Portfolio Manager will flag that. So here, for example, the end date is January 14th, and then the start date is January 15th. So you want all of the meter entries to be exactly concurrent, otherwise that'll be an issue. Sometimes it also flags like, hey, this date for your bill doesn't match the date that you said this meter started having data when you set it up. That's okay. What we just need for your benchmarking submission is the full 2023 water data info. Cool. And then, yeah, if this estimation, if it's clicked yes over here, you could make sure it's no. Cool. Yeah.
How do we get to that screen? Matt, quickly, how do we get to that? Is there a possibility for us to get to that screen to see what we've done wrong?
Yeah, so if you kind of what I just showed, let me actually, I'm going to go ahead. Sorry for the flashing here. Okay, here we go. So water, you're in your water tab, and then click the name of the meter here, potable indoor meter. That should take you to this tab. And then there's like the basic meter info, which is what you did to set it up. And then monthly entries is where you find your actual meter data.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I've got a problem, that those yellow boxes should be populating.
Yep. Yeah, the yellow box will say, hey, we found a problem. This is what it is. And the help desk is also a great place to reach out if after the training today you are getting these errors and you're like, I cannot figure this out. Give them a call. All right. Great. And then the last thing for setting up your water meter is making sure that the meter you set up that data is going to get reported to the city of St. Paul. And the way you do that is you want to make sure that the meter is in this used to compute metrics column or section, and you want to make sure it's not in this not used in metrics. So the way you do that is if your meter is showing up under not used in metrics, go ahead and click change meter selection. And then you'll want to click all of the meters that you want that data reported to the city. So it should be, unless you have like created more meters, if you just have one meter, make sure that's checked. And then click these meters account for the total water consumption for my building, and then apply. If you have like a meter that you discontinued, you can make sure that's not selected here, and then that won't get submitted to the city. So this making sure that it's included in reporting is important. Otherwise, we won't get the data when you submit. Okay, so that was water meters. That stuff can be a lot. Are there any questions around setting up your water meter? All right, so the next step is setting up your energy meter. A couple things to note here is right now we're going to set up your Xcel energy meters. So that would be your electric meter and your natural gas meter. If you're a district energy customer, don't set up meters for district energy yet. We will address that later, and I'll explain why. But for now, just focus on your Xcel energy meters. So navigate to your property, go to the energy tab, and then hit add a meter. For here, the goal is that we are all going to set up Xcel Energy's automatic data upload. And the really powerful piece of that auto data upload tool is that they provide whole building aggregated data to you. So say you're a multifamily building, all of the units have individual meters, electric meters. Xcel Energy will deliver deliver data on your whole building electric consumption so that you can report that to the city. So you do not need to set up, 20 electric meters. You only need to set up one. So right now, even if you have multiple meters at your building, just do one natural gas meter and one electric meter. Do electric purchased from the grid. And this way you will get that aggregated data put into your portfolio account properly. Okay, so one electric meter, one gas meter. And then do not do a district meter right now. Similarly to water data, you'll be taken to this page to set up the meters. And here the units are important. So for your electric meter, select kilowatt hours. or kWh. For natural gas, select therms. And then these are for the district energy meters, but we're not setting those up right now. All right. So put those units in properly, and then date meter became active. Similarly, you can put the date that the building was built and then in use. For folks that are working on existing properties, if there's already an electric and gas meter, hold on creating new ones. You'll want to check and see if those are proper. So, all right, so create your meters, input that information, then go ahead and click create meters down here. Then you'll be taken to this page, and you should see all of the energy meters that you created. You can click this caret to expand it if you like. But for now, for now, click continue, and then you'll select the meters that you want to be reported to the city. So you'll want to do natural gas, your electric meter. If you have fuel oil, do that as well. But make sure all the meters that you want reported are selected, and then these meters account for the total energy consumption of my building. And then I'll say, congrats, you set up your meters. Unlike water, we aren't going to input your meter data right now because Xcel Energy will hopefully automatically upload that for you. So we just want to make sure those meters are created right now. And then the next step will be establishing the automatic data upload from Xcel Energy. Yeah, welcome, Mandy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I was going to do that on my first slide, but yeah, I'm Mandy Holbert. I am the program manager for the benchmarking at Xcel Energy. So if you have sent us any emails or had any virtual calls with us, you've probably spoken to me.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, take it away.
Should we wait another minute or should we get going?
I'd say let's jump right in. Yeah.
Okay, cool beans. Well, this is a couple of helpful links. On that top link will take you to our energy benchmarking site for Xcel Energy. That will have like our user guide, a downloadable consent form, and any kind of questions you might have may be able to answer there as well. If you do have further questions or need help once you start sharing your property, you can send us an email at that bottom email, benchmarking@xcelenergy.com. Our current response time is about 2 business days, so be patient, but we promise we will reply to you. And you can go to the next slide. As Matthew already said, you only need 1 meter per fuel type. We will aggregate that data for you. If you do choose to split it up further, there may be additional consent requirements. So the aggregate is the most easy and straightforward way. Next slide. So this link here is going to be step 4 in our user guide is setting up our benchmarking portal. You have to set up this account in order to make a connection with Xcel in Energy Star. So this account will help you link with our system so that our system can provide you that data. You'll click sign up once you go into that link, and you'll sign up with an email address that is hopefully convenient for everyone to work on. If you have like an energy@xcelenergy.com or a benchmarking at walmart.com or whatever, that typically is what people will use. That way you don't have to pass information back and forth. If you do ever need to update that username, feel free to send us an email and we will walk you through the steps that need to be taken to get that changed. Once that account has been set up, you will get an email confirmation saying that that account is set up and ready to go. Once you have that email, you'll be able to go to the next step on the next slide. You'll go back into Portfolio Manager after you've set up your benchmarking account, and you'll go to Contacts in the top right corner of Portfolio Manager, and you'll click Add a Contact, which is highlighted in that bottom bubble. Next slide. Once you've clicked Add Contacts, a little pop-up box will show, and you will enter our username. Our username is Xcel Energy Web Services. Make sure that goes into the username field. If it goes into organization or email, it won't pop up. After you've entered that, you'll click search and it'll ask you if you want to connect with Xcel. You'll click connect. Next page. After you've selected our username, another pop-up will show up and it'll ask you to enter your Xcel Energy Portal username. This is the email address that you just used to create your Xcel Energy Portal. They do have to match or else our system cannot accept that connection request. Once you enter your username, accept the terms of agreements, and there'll be a little option to send the connection request, and you'll select that. And then go to the next slide. The connection request, like I just said, will take about 15 to 30 minutes to be accepted. Once that's accepted, Xcel Energy will show as a contact in your contact list on that previous page. And then you'll be able to hit that share or edit access to a property button on the sharing page. Once you click in there, it'll be on the next slide. It will ask you to select the property or properties that you want to share with us. You can select multiple if you need to. And then you'll select our username in that second category where it says Xcel Energy Web Services. And down below where you choose permissions, you'll choose personalized sharing and exchange data. That gives us the permissions needed to upload the information into Energy Star. If you share with bulk sharing, our system typically won't even accept it because it can't communicate correctly. And then hit continue, and then that will be the next slide. After you get to continue, your screen will look like that first picture. It'll show you the properties that you've shared and who you're sharing them with. You will go to exchange data in that far corner. And once you click that little bubble, that second pop-up or that second image will pop up right beside us. And you'll share with full access in all fields. Each of the meters, you'll give us full access to those. Full access to goals, improvements, and checklists, as well as recognition. If you don't give us full access in all of those fields, again, our system won't be able to push the data appropriately, so you will be missing information. Once you have completed that, the pop-up will go away, and you'll be able to hit share properties. Next slide. After you've selected all of those and have hit share properties, it'll ask you if you want to share forward, and you can select yes or no on this option. This just makes it easier to share later if you want to share it with someone else if you select yes. But either one of those options is fine. You'll hit apply selections and authorize exchange. And then next slide, and that will send the connection request to us. That request typically takes about 15 minutes, and then you should see an alert in your Energy Star saying like Xcel Energy accepted your request, Xcel Energy denied your request. If it was denied, it wasn't anything we did manually. It was something within the system that chose to deny it. Typically, that can be the length of a meter name being too long. Meter names and property names need to be under 55 characters. And then the email is not matching. That will also be a reason you might get denied. That is all I have. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah. One question we're getting, Mandy, is what does ESBM account connection status pending mean?
If the account is pending, it has not yet been connected in Energy Star. So that connection step will have to be completed. And then I see another one about emails as well. So system accept more than one email address. We cannot accept more than one email address. It can only you can only accept one email address per account. And there's another question about, do you need to create a benchmarking account with Xcel if you're submitting a consent form to share the data? Yes, that benchmarking account has to be created in order to create the connection in Energy Star. Without the benchmarking account, the two systems cannot communicate with one another.
Great. Yeah, and I just want to emphasize setting up the Xcel Energy connection can be a little bit of work, but it saves so much time over the long term because then every future year your data is already in Portfolio Manager. All you have to do is check it and then submit to the city. So yeah, it's worth the upfront work for sure. One other thing we'd like to share is District Energy also has a portal, an online portal that can automatically upload district energy data into Energy Star Portfolio Manager. So I'll put this link in the chat, and Jordan with District Energy will be joining, or actually has joined, and he can also do a breakout room at the end of the session today. And so if you want help setting up your district energy portal, we'll have you go into that breakout room with him. And that's another way to get your district energy data automatically flowing into Energy Star, again, to make reporting easy in future years. All right. So we'll keep moving here. The last step we're going to go over today is data submission. So you've got your property info set up, you have all your energy data in Portfolio Manager, you have all your water data entered, you're ready to go. This final step is sending your data to the city to comply with the benchmarking ordinance. So to orient us just one more time, you'll go to your property and again, make sure that your standard ID, that EBC ID, the SP1234 number, is in your details tab. Again, if that's not in the submission, the report you send won't be in compliance and you'll have to send it again. So check that standard ID. And then another important thing to do before submitting to the city is in the summary tab, scroll down and click check for possible errors. And then click this, make sure the date range is correct. So you'll want to do it December 31st of 2023. And then click run the quality checker. And then if any errors come up, it'll flag them and then you can go fix them or reach out to the help desk if you can't figure out how to fix them. This is a really great thing to do before you submit, because if you submit your data to the city and our help desk finds errors in it, they'll ask you to fix it and resubmit anyway. So it's good to fix those errors from the beginning. All right, so the checking your standard ID and running Energy Star's checking tool are the pre-steps. And now to actually submit your data to the city, you will go to this link, which I'll put in the chat here. And this is where you will get the, it's called the compliance link. So go ahead and click on that link that I put in the chat. Oops, it is an error. I will put it in again. There we go. So click on that link that I put in the chat, and then it'll take you to our page. Again, there are two ways to comply with the ordinance: our full compliance pathway, which is recommended, and our partial pathway. And I'll explain the difference here right now. So on that page, before you click a button, I'll just explain the options. So we have two compliance pathways. Full disclosure submits your energy data, water data, and benchmarking characteristics to the city. This enables us to bring you into compliance with the ordinance. So, full disclosure allows us to provide you personalized support and recognize your leadership. So we can recognize you at our recognition ceremony, send you our benchmarking scorecards, and also send you resources that might help you save energy. The partial disclosure pathway is the same amount of work as the full disclosure pathway. You still have to benchmark an Energy Star and submit, but it does not share the energy or water data with the city as to give you that option. So 90% of folks who benchmark choose the full disclosure option. It's kind of the spirit of the program is to bring this data to the market and help you save energy, and full disclosure is the way to do that. Also, the state of Minnesota passed a statewide benchmarking policy that'll go into effect next year, and that will require full disclosure. So it's a good idea to do full disclosure this year so you're prepped for next year. And just a teaser there, compliance will be exactly the same for the state, so no need to worry too much about that. All right, so yeah, so go ahead and click that link, and then you will be taken to Energy Star Portfolio Manager automatically. Since if you are logged out, you'll have to log in, but since you're already logged in, it will, you should be taken to this page here. And this is the compliance page. So this is how you submit your data to the city. So I'm going to walk you through the process, and you can hit next whenever I say next. I will let you know where to pause so that you don't submit your data to the city if you are not ready. So you can trust that you can follow along, keep clicking, and I'll tell you when not to click. So you'll be taken to this page. And then you'll select myself, and then you'll select the properties that you want to submit. So if you have multiple properties that that need to comply with the ordinance, you can select all of them here. So click select properties, and then they will all show up here. So click all the ones that you want to send to the city, and then in this window you need to scroll down a little bit and click apply selection. So then this will update to 1 or however many properties you've selected, and then you can go ahead and click generate response preview. Now you'll be taken to this reporting tab. This reporting tab is how you send your data to the city. And another thing that you can do here is check for errors. So a box up here will appear if there are errors in your data. So this is another area to check for errors. Once your data is all ready to go and you want to submit, the top line here should say data request, Efficient Buildings Collaborative 2024. This is from last year. And then in this action drop down over here, click I want to, and then send response. So that send response button is the one you want to click. And then when you do that, this is the page where, so don't hit send data yet, but I'll walk you through the process. So once you've clicked send response in the previous page, this who besides you should we send a confirmation email to. This is optional. You say maybe you have a supervisor you want to know that you've submitted, whoever it is, you can click add their emails here or here, but it's not necessary. Make sure it says Xcel under the attachment format, and then you'll want to click this button here and then do a digital signature. And then don't do this right now, but sending data is how you'll send it to the city. So yeah, and then you will have complied with the ordinance. You will also receive a confirmation email from our help desk that they received your submission, and they'll let you know if you're in compliance or if they have found potential errors that would need to be addressed. So yeah, are there any questions about submitting data? Would it be helpful for me to go through that process again?
Also, we have a hand up from Kenneth.
Oh yeah, cool.
To piggyback,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. To piggyback on that last question, my drop down is also gray, and my status says generating response preview.
Yeah, let's see. So are you on this? you're on this section here.
Yes, and my status actually says, there's a little clock there and it says, let me go back in here, generating response preview.
Hitting
Okay.
the refresh usually takes care of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia.
I've been there many times.
All right. Yeah, any other questions about submitting data, let me know. Otherwise, the formal presentation has ended, and now is the time where we can move into breakout rooms and help answer folks' specific questions and get you set up to be compliance ready.